by Chelmsford Telemedia and will be available on their website and on YouTube. And we do indeed have a quorum, and let's just get right into it. Open session, do we have anybody in the audience who wants to talk from the citizens of the town? No, I don't see anyone. Why don't we go right to our liaison with our planning board chair. Hello,
Good
Chris.
evening. Chris Lavalley, Planning Board Chair.
This week, we are closing on our zoning article hearings for town meeting. We will continue with the citizens petition article hearing. We have not been able to get the citizen who drafted the petition to be able to present to us, so we're hoping to get them in soon so we can hear about it before we vote on it. We have a new hearing for the definitive subdivision for 191, 195 Riverneck Road for 3 industrial parcels, splitting that into 3. We did receive word from the Attorney General on our town meeting zoning articles from last town meeting. All are good, but we will need to adjust the zoning table for a Dover protected use that happens to be in there. When they do look at the articles, they do a little bit more comprehensive review of what we have in zoning. And what they found is that there's a childcare use in the use table that is actually an exempt use. So we are going to have to remove that from the zoning table, probably fall town meeting. But there were no issues with the CBLT zoning, so that is going forward, and we'll be able to use that in the next town meeting. That is it.
Any
Is
questions?
that applicant on, excuse me, Riverneck Road, one, still Commonwealth Construction?
So, yes, that is they did come before us with the preliminary subdivision, and at the time, they did say that was essentially to freeze the zoning. That was before the contractor's yard was denied. So I don't know if their plans have changed or if it's still just to really freeze zoning, but it is going to be subdivided into 3 lots. Looks like one of the 3 lots is mostly going to be an infiltration pond, and then the other 2 will be industrial lots
Okay.
with a
Thanks.
road down the side.
Thanks.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next up, we have our regulatory hearings. Notice of intent continued from January 27th, 2026. This is for New England Power Company at 100 Ecuador Road. And I'm understanding that the applicant has requested continuance until our next meeting, February 24th.
Yes, pending completion of the peer review. Don't know that it will be finished by then, but they requested a continuance till then.
All right, I'll take a motion to continue the hearing until February 24th.
Carl, I move that we continue the notice of intent for New England Power Company until our next meeting of February 24th.
Motion from Chris. Do I have a second? Second from John. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. We will see them on the 24th, assuming the peer review is in a timely way. All right. Next up, we have a discussion item for $880 for funding of Oxbow Associates Putnam Brook design proposal at Warren Pole. David, do you want to talk
Sure.
about that for a moment?
So this is a follow-up, it's a follow-up originally to the Meadow Habitat study that Oxbow did for Warren Pole. And members recall that Adam Cole from Oxbow was here at the January 13th meeting to present that study. And he was asked by the commission to submit a proposal for implementing some of the study's recommendations, in particular to do some plantings along Putnam Brook to increase the botanical biodiversity, but in particular to plant some native shrubs there. This is in the second paragraph here is the actual scope of what this proposal is Oxbow Associates will design and provide a planting plan in the form of a graphic figure, which will include a list of species to be planted and their staking locations. The focus location will be the stretch of Putnam Brook that runs through the open wet meadow. Oxbow Associates will additionally provide a text narrative describing where to procure materials and how to install live stakes. But, you know, just to give some examples of what I think is going to be planted, probably things like dogwoods and elderberry, you know, those sorts of shrubs grow right along the brook and, you know, shade it. You know, maybe get some fish in there if they're not already. Although Putnam is designated perennial, it certainly dried up a couple of years ago during the drought.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. There have been summers it's been running all summer though.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And it certainly wouldn't hurt to be getting some greenery to
Yes.
shade it. Because
yes,
as a farm trench, it was exposed as it should be for a farm, but
Yeah.
in this application. So this is not for any labor, so we'll have to
Right.
figure out how we acquire the material, what we acquire, and how we get it planted. So it's a different problem.
Yeah.
But this would be a plan that gives
Yes.
us a specification for
yes.
what to put out there, what makes sense based on a botanical expert.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm envisioning that this money would come out of the annual appropriation budget for land management activities, for which there's just about 5,000 in the budget right now, with a little bit. Let me see. So we've got March, April, May, June. So 4 months left, for about 4.5 months left. So I certainly think we can afford it.
Seems like a good use to me, so. Questions from anyone? Comments, John?
Can you put blueberries there?
Yeah, I think so. Some high bush blueberry. I wouldn't.
Bush, yeah.
I wouldn't be one bit surprised if that's included in their design plan.
Yeah.
I think they should look at that.
Well, I'll definitely ask, but say I wouldn't be surprised if it's there.
Obviously, they probably have.
Yeah. Peter?
Question, David. I read this and maybe I missed it. Is your, how much of the new plants are live stakes? And, but the reason I'm thinking because of John's question, I don't know about blueberries being live stakes, but maybe they're available that way. I'm just thinking the live stakes are easier to install
Yes.
than digging
yes.
holes for a lot of bushes.
Yeah.
And I don't have an opinion here. I'm just curious if you.
Well, I
thought about
think, I think the intent is to do mainly shrubs, and I think, you know, live staking is, you know, the primary method for doing that. I don't think, I mean, we'll see, but I don't think the plan would be to do like wildflowers.
Right,
Or something where you throw out a bunch of seeds.
Right.
I think this is, you know, because ultimately one of the functions is to shade. I think you want shrubs, you know,
Right.
fairly high shrubs.
Right, but I guess my question is, are we asking Oxbow to favor live stakes over, you know, plants in pots or balled in burlap?
Well, I think that's a
Or-
recommendation.
That's where we're going?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
That's what he mentioned at the last meeting
Okay,
when he was
got it.
here.
I'm just thinking cost and ease of installation. Got it.
Blueberries are cheap.
I believe so.
Yeah. You plant them,
Yeah, and
pennies on
and
the
they do
dollar.
well, and they do well around here.
And they
yeah.
do well right next to a stream.
Yeah, the question is, you know, I think ideally, of course, we'd want wild ones rather than cultivars.
Yeah.
One question I have for Adam, it's because I think he mentioned when he was here that they would first try to take the live stakes from on-site plants, you know, plants that are already there. So, and I'm sure there are blueberries there already. So I will confirm that with him, you know, assuming the commission votes to go with this.
And people walking, they can take their tin can and pick some blueberries.
Plenty of blackberries there in the summer, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, man, yeah, yeah,
Pick your own.
Well, the birds are gonna eat.
yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Birds
Anyone
will eat
else?
first.
take a motion then to approve the,
Mr. Chairman, I'll move then to approve the request for the sum of $880 for funding of Oxbow Associates Putnam Brook Design Proposal at Warren Poll.
motion from Chris. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it passes unanimous. Thank you very much. Next up, another Oxbow.
So, yeah, another Oxbow proposal. And that is to, I'm sure everyone recalls that this year and last year, there was a bad purple loosestrife infestation at Warren Poll in the wet meadow. I don't really recall seeing that before 2024, but it was definitely there that year and in 2025. Sort of the established way of dealing with purple loosestrife these days is to release what we call loosestrife beetles that are originally from Europe, and they eat the loosestrife leaves, killing the plant, but they don't damage or hurt any other native vegetation or species, and they've proven to be quite effective in eliminating the loosestrife, or at least keeping it very, very well controlled. I personally witnessed that over the years. Some beekeepers really like purple loosestrife, but it really just it really crowds out native biodiversity. It can get really out of control and develops these really huge root balls that are very difficult to manage any other way than with the beetles. So we did apply for a grant to do this. The grant was not approved because, and this was through SISMA, which is a local organization that's sponsored primarily by Sudbury Valley trustees. And the reason they said they turned down the grant application was because they wanted to have evidence that the beetles are not there. And they said that, well, if we could show that, that they would take another look at funding it. But anyway, so the task, there are really two tasks that this proposal is describing, and the first one is just that, is that this year Oxbow will survey for the beetles, and I guess whether they find them or not, well, they'll survey them and try to get a count of the beetles. So this says prior to the release of any beetles, Oxbow Associates will select 100 individual purple loosestrife plants evenly across the property. Adam Cole will map each study point using GPS and document any evidence of feeding damage or signs of loosestrife beetles on a standardized data sheet. This effort is important to determine if the species is already present on the property, and if so, determine the density. Oxbow Associates will obtain 5 cartons of loosestrife beetles, 105 individuals per carton, through a reputable biocontrol business, and released on site in May to early June of 2026, directly after their arrival via overnight shipping. Oxbow Associates will provide a report summarizing our methods and results. So that's task 1, which is this year. So task 2, which is the monitoring and reporting, which is next year, Oxbow Associates will repeat the same methods as implemented for our pre-release assessment by collecting data on 100 purple loosestrife plants from late May to early June of 2027. For the presence of loosestrife beetles, we will record the number of beetles on each plant, and the results will be provided in a report. So this project cost is $3,500. I see it that half of that would be spent this year, half of that, which would be $750, and half next year. Again, I think there's plenty of money for that. I say there's about $5,000 in the annual appropriation budget. I know the commission just approved $880, but there's also about $5,000 in the land maintenance fund. So I certainly think with those two accounts together, I think, you know, 750 this year and 1750 this year and 1750 next year. It's certainly a reasonable cost from each. I think over the long term, then, I mean, we'll see if either the Beatles don't become established, or they do, but they're not doing what we expect them to do. We may ask Oxbow to do some sort of a follow-up recommendation at some point, although that's not within the scope of this work. I think in any case, some sort of longer-term monitoring should be done, but maybe that can be done with volunteers.
How big an area do they do? You know what I mean? So that you can actually see if you have 5 acres of it, and you do 1 acre or whatever, then you can see if that 1 acre looks a lot better than the other 4. I mean, is there a
Well, I think
way they do it?
I think the plan is to again select 100 individual plants, loosestrife plants. Now I don't know, you know, how they're distributed throughout the property, you know, throughout the meadow, but I think the plan in any case would be to release the beetles on those individual plants, and with the expectation, with the hope that they then would spread out. But I mean, I don't think the plants are going to be, you know, within 100 square feet. I think the intent would be to, you know, do over some, you know, fairly wide area on the property. Again, I can get clarification on that if you want.
Just so you can see the results, you know.
Yep.
You can monitor it.
Well, you know, if the beetles do become established, I think it will become obvious pretty quickly that they will spread over the entire property. It really doesn't, you know, my experience, it doesn't take them very long. I mean, the wet meadow is about 19, 20 acres. I think they could, you know, certainly, maybe even one summer, I think they could spread out over that.
And my observations have been that the purple loosestrife is the front third of that wet meadow.
Yes.
It's not the full, it's really in the front half,
Yeah,
or front
yeah.
third.
Yep. The meadow gets wetter as you're going back. Like it becomes an emergent wet marsh, which don't think the purple loosestrife really likes.
If this is successful, do they die off because of not having any food?
Well, that's a good question. You know, certainly one question I have: were the beetles there previously? That's why we haven't seen them. We didn't see them before 2024. You know, is like climate change killing them? Is there something else that's killing them? Or is it just a result of the fact that it hasn't been mowed? I mean, it was historically mowed, I think, at least a couple times a year, right?
Yeah, up to 2020, it was
yeah.
mowed all, you know, every year.
So
Right,
that
it
may
was
have
a-
had something to do with keeping the beetle population down. So, and the loosestrife with it.
loosestrife, yeah.
So the fact that it hasn't been mowed since 2020 or 2020, whatever, that might have something to do with it. I would, you know, when I requested the proposal, I certainly, you know, asked that question. That, you know, in the context of long-term monitoring, if the beetles don't become established, you know, maybe, you know, we can do another study to try and figure out why. You know, is there something killing them? What's going on? Well, that's a good question.
Mark, you know, they were released, 15 years ago, John, in River Meadowbrook, 10 years ago? And,
Yeah, something like that.
And they eliminated acres and acres and acres of loosestrife just downstream of the water district. It became a monoculture. That's about all that was growing back there, and that stuff was all gone. I wasn't paying a ton of attention, but gone in a couple of years. Anyway, that was at least, I think, 10 years ago. And I find the beetles, you know, because there's a seed bank, right? It's not one and done because there's seeds, you know, from next year and year after. So I've seen the beetles in like my backyard along that meadow on some blue stripe fugitives that, have popped up. And to Bill's point, I don't know how you measure the effectiveness the way you're describing. That's a great idea. But one idea is that they like skeletonize, they call it, the plant. So they basically eat holes in the leaves, and then the plant dies. But the plant's sitting there until the next frost and snowfall. So if you wanted to wander through,
You can see,
you should be able to see while the things are flowering. So you don't even have to know what the plant looks like. They should be eating the leaves as you see some of the purple plants. And that might be a way to, maybe not scientifically, but get a sense.
right?
So hopefully they survive. One question I had, David, we could ask if we engage Oxbow, do the beetles migrate down the watershed? And I guess they need more loosestrife plants, so I don't know if in Putnam Brook there's,
They're
Loose,
not gonna
right?
migrate down.
Yeah, because there's a
From
lot of
Warren Pool.
backyards and there's roads and.
yeah, it'd be nice to understand that,
Yeah.
because maybe down the road, there'd be releases elsewhere, it makes sense.
Are you hoping they'll come to your house?
Well, I have them.
We need some to eat Japanese bamboo is what we need.
Yeah, that's next, David. Can you come up with that?
Dave, I got a question. Is it true that the geese move the purple loosestrife around? That it all comes in with the geese? The more geese you have, the more purple loosestrife you have.
Boy, I don't know, John. I've never heard that.
Well, I've heard it.
So you've heard people say that, or?
I've heard
just,
it.
That wouldn't shock me. Yeah.
It
No,
comes in on the geese.
could be. I mean, I wasn't aware that the geese like eat the seeds, or,
Well,
but who knows? They could just hitch a ride in the feathers.
geese have ruined a lot of fields in Chelmsford,
Yeah.
whether you know it or not. I mean, perfect hay fields have been ruined by geese.
How so?
They spread weeds.
Really?
Yep. I mean, I have weeds in my own hayfield. It's called chickalick.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw a weed like this in my life. I got purple loosestrife in my front yard.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta have 50, sometimes 50 geese in my front yard,
Well, I think
not including my backyard.
I think geese eat just about everything,
They eat everything.
that plant. So, some of these seeds, I'm sure, pass right through them.
And I think they spread it.
Mm-hmm. Could be. Could be.
Chat GPT says absolutely, yes.
Geese are beaver to me.
Significant.
What are we going to do
All right.
about them geese?
Yeah.
Who has a shotgun?
So we have a proposal to spend $3,500, of which $1,750 in this
Good answer.
fiscal year.
Yeah, that's how I think it'll likely pan out.
Yeah, he answered, yeah. But we don't
I
know.
think the geese move a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should look at this.
Mm-hmm.
And I should, Oxbow, they're experts in it.
Yeah, I agree. We should definitely consider that. I'm not sure how many geese there are at Warren Pole. I mean, geese like, standing water, at least.
The geese land anywhere.
They do. I
They
don't-
land in
I
my
don't see
front
geese
yard.
there too often, though, but they certainly are there, yeah.
They're there.
I mean, I've certainly seen ducks at Warren Pole. Maybe ducks do the same thing.
They land in Mill Pond, they walk out,
Oh, that I believe.
and
That I
they've ruined just about everything, weeds everywhere. And the weeds that come out, and I've had somebody that knows a lot about weeds, and he's come out and he's looked at it and he's given me the Latin name. And I says, all right, give it to me in English. And he says, this is chickalick. And this is a weed that I've never seen in my life on my property,
Until the geese got there.
till the geese come in like they do.
Wow. Well, what we need is we need to bring back some big predators.
Yeah.
Like wolves and mountain lions. I gather the early, and I've read this, that the early colonists
Coyotes.
around here,
Coyotes we got.
they wrote that one of the mountain lion's favorite prey was geese.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I want to buy a couple.
Set them loose.
Except they also eat everything else,
They-
like your
Including
dog.
people.
Might have a problem, the neighbors might have a
Few
word.
people.
We don't have dogs.
They don't eat very many people.
Well, I think you had
Kids,
to
we're
watch
gonna
your
watch
back
the
when
kids.
there are mountain
All
lions.
right,
around.
let's focus here.
So Carl, I'll make a motion then that we approve, the commission approve the sum of $3,500 for funding of Oxbow Associates Purple Loosestrife Beetle proposal at Warren Poll, and it was basically gonna be split over 2 fiscal years, as I understand.
Motion from Chris, do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Bill. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous, all right. Thank you.
I would like to have an answer from Oxbow on what happens when the food is gone, or they die, how it happens, they die
Okay.
off, or?
Sure.
Yeah, that's a good question.
And I think maybe it's under land management, but we circle back around the Canadian goose
Yeah.
problem. You know, how
It's
bad's the
huge.
problem and how do we manage it,
It's huge,
you know?
and we haven't even paid attention to it. It's so big, it's huge. Every field in town is decimated from geese. I don't care where you go.
And the fake coyotes don't do the job.
Although we found a part of a heron at Warren Poll.
I remember
I think
that.
that was a bobcat. I think a
I
bobcat
think it was
got that
bobcat,
one.
Probably, yeah.
But a goose might be a little bit too large for a
Remember that.
bobcat.
Yeah, I remember that, we were walking, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next up on continual business, this is discussion and possible vote on wetland bylaw and regulations, review subcommittee recommendation to submit a warrant article for the Springtown meeting amending the Chelmsford Wetlands bylaw add a regulatory 100-foot buffer zone to bordering lands subject to flooding, AKA the 100-year floodplain. So, David, do you want to take it, or Chris?
I'll just say quickly that we have done some research about, area towns that have this part of their bylaw. And I think, was it like 13 towns, Chris?
Yeah, we took a look, we got some good data, I mean, we've got the local ones, just kind of looking locally. Acton's got the 100-foot buffer zone to land subject to flooding. Bedford, just kind of going alphabetically, Billerick is a no. Burlington was yes, Carlisle's a yes, Drake is no, Lowell's a no, and then Westford, yes, they have a 100-foot buffer zone to land subject to flooding.
And those are mostly MAPC towns?
Yep.
No, Acton, Bedford, Carlisle are not. Oh,
MAPC.
oh, I'm sorry,
MAPC, I think they are.
yeah.
And it's easy to pull the bylaw down. I went
you're
to
right.
each of these and pulled the bylaw down, took a look at them, and I printed some copies off, but, yeah.
So the recommendation would be then, so the other part of the discussion we had was, how often would this kick in a given, let's just say, a year? How often would this, so there, as I understand it, there could be a proposed project that has no need to come before conservation as our bylaws are current written, but this could trigger that we would get to review based on this, with this new bylaw. And that would probably not be very many, it'd be very, very few, if,
Yeah, and I think it would be mostly, well, probably virtually exclusively new development. See, there are in the 100-foot buffer zone regulations right now, there are several exemptions. Like there's exemptions for sheds as long as it's going in lawn and it's more than 50 feet away. Same thing for swimming pools and patios. Existing lawns can be maintained. I mean, the exact same exemptions would apply to this buffer zone as well. This doesn't add any new restrictions per se. It just there's the possibility of having to do some additional review through a filing depending on what's being proposed. But, these kinds of minor activities, again, they're exempt. Again, I think the likelihood that, property owners, individual property owners will be affected, I think is next to nothing. Again, I think it would be, the new development and, fairly large developments. I can just give a quick example. I think Hildreth, the Hildreth project that we saw last year. I think that showed work in the buffer zone to the floodplain. I think, so that would have been one example. I think another example would be the two lots we saw on Old Westford Road, the triangle lot this year. I mean, they would have had to file anyway because they were in the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands, but they also are in the buffer zone to the floodplain. But it would not have affected the outcome. In my opinion, it would not have affected the outcome, the approval that the commission ultimately gave.
So it would essentially give us a little bit more oversight, a little bit more.
Yeah.
And helps to prevent development in a future potential flood zone area.
Yeah, and it gives the commission the opportunity to look at potential impacts to areas that are subject to flooding, land subject to flooding.
Because right now we have jurisdiction over the, the wetlands, right? The marshes, wet meadows, bogs, swamps, vernal pools, any lakes in town, et cetera. And we have a 100-foot buffer zone around those resources. And then if we have a perennial stream or river, we've got the 200-foot buffer zone. So most of the time, we're gonna have jurisdiction anyway, because it's gonna be one of those resource areas. So it gives us some additional potential jurisdiction for the land subject to flooding. But typically, we'll have jurisdiction anyway, because it's gonna be that brook or stream that might be next to it, or, marsh, meadow, something like that next to it. So it gives us a little bit more jurisdiction. It might come in handy, but it's not that big a change, really.
And I would suggest the main message is we're trying to avoid construction in areas that are subject to increased flooding. It's not that we want more jurisdiction. I don't know about you guys, I don't need any more stuff to do, but we're really trying to address the flooding that the town has already spent a couple $100,000 in engineering studies to try to address. And so this is sort of a companion to that effort to try to avoid problems for homeowners or business owners down the road.
In the town.
Would that change anything for the applicant on 100 Ecuador Road?
No.
How about redevelopment? Does there be any changes in that?
But possibly. I mean, there are some sites that I think are within the buffer zone to land subject to flooding, so it's within the realm of possibility. Say the ones I just mentioned are the ones that come immediately to mind: Hildreth and those two lots on Old Westford Road. I'm trying to think of any others. So I think it really would be only new development, and for, fairly large projects, although the Old Westford Road was only 2 houses, but ultimately it wouldn't have made a difference anyway. But that's not to say that it wasn't legitimate to look at,
I think on my behalf, I just think we should wait a little while. I'm not ready to vote on it.
Let me make a motion anyway. So we'll put it to, I move that the commission.
Can we speak?
Well, yeah,
Yeah, sure.
absolutely. You want to speak before my motion or after?
No, I want to speak before this.
Okay.
I think we're over-regulating. Okay? That's my opinion. I think we can handle what we have in front of us, with the rules we have in front of us. I'm just not comfortable with this. it's just giving some ammo to different people to do different things, to block projects or whatever. We don't have a lot of projects out there that we have to worry about. I'm not comfortable with this at all, and I'm not comfortable with a board of town meeting reps voting on something they have no clue what they're voting on. That's what I'm not comfortable with. Somebody's gonna go up there and tell them this, this, and this. Okay, well, no. It's not right. I don't think it's right.
Would you want to bring a warrant article before the town meeting if it wasn't 100% consensus on the board? I mean, if it was a split support? Because John's right, they're not gonna,
They're not gonna know
they're gonna
a thing.
kind of go with
They're
what
not
we
gonna know a
want.
thing.
If they hear some of the people on the board don't want it, some do, you know what I mean?
Yes, I agree that might impact the prospects for passage if they know there's a divided vote on the board. I think, is it 6-1? Is it 4-3? I guess we don't know that until there's a vote.
Right.
Where did this come from in the beginning?
Right.
We had a subcommittee who reviewed the bylaws, and we looked at our bylaws and looked for gaps, and we compared it with what the standard is from the Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissioners, and they have a bylaw standard that we don't have.
Same answer I got down below last week when I asked about my taxes. I didn't understand a word of that. I'm understanding one thing. I think we're over-regulating something that we can handle as a board.
We can't handle it, John.
We can handle it, Carl.
This would not show up in front of us. That's what we're
If
trying
we
to say.
make a law, we make something, it's gonna show up in front of us, and somebody's gonna pick it out.
No,
I-
now
no,
I'm not
I'm
understanding
not-
you.
I'm not getting it. I'm not getting this whole changing the floodplain thing. It's set by the federal government. Leave the federal government in charge.
That's the problem, John. The federal government numbers are out of date.
It's changing every day. Let the federal government handle what's out there for floodplain.
That's not how it works, though. They don't handle it. They define it, and then we manage to what they've defined.
Okay.
That's what
What
we're
does
talking
MEMA
about.
say?
Huh?
What does MEMA say?
FEMA or
Well,
Massachusetts.
Oh, I have no idea.
Well, again, the main example that comes to my mind was on Hildreth. I remember when that filing was first made, I got all sorts of emails from residents in the neighborhood saying this area floods. They sent me videos of the flooding, and we don't know what the sort of impact the development in the buffer zone might have on the areas that flood. And I think that would have been a perfectly legitimate thing to look at, but without, this change to the bylaw, we would not have the legal authority to review that.
This is all stemming from Hildreth. Is that what I'm correct in hearing?
I think some of it is.
I think it's all.
Well, the question is, how many more Hildreths are out there? Lands that might, because on the Hildreth property, I don't know what you all thought, but I was pretty confident that some of those houses were gonna flood because of this floodplain. And we were powerless to prevent flooding because the flooding is higher than the current FEMA level.
No.
I think some of it also comes from the Graniteville Road situation. It's well known that there's flooding over there to the point where, the town has contracted for a $200,000 study
Okay.
to take a look at
And that's
that.
because the water comes all off of Graniteville Road, down the hill, and all that water dumps into that area. Okay? We've
Well-
all known that for all my lifetime living in Chelmsford where that water went,
But,
okay?
but I don't,
But you gotta put that water somewhere downstream,
but we.
and they gotta size it downstream.
But I don't think we really know what sort of effects might come from that specific site where those two houses were being proposed. That, you know, I don't know that we know for sure that it all comes from upstream. There might be something on site.
It comes from upstream. I'll guarantee you.
So take this a step further. If this was
Water
our
flows
current.
downhill.
So John, like your opinion on this. So let's walk through this. If this were passed and certain properties, let's use Hildreth as an example,
I don't wanna use Hildreth.
that kind of property comes before us, what would we do? And I think the answer is we would ask the engineer to do some additional calculations beyond what we did at Old Westford Road to let us know if the basement of these people's new house is gonna flood. I mean, isn't that really all we're talking about? Is trying to avoid some poor future homeowner going, oh yeah, the town approved of this, it must be fine. When we have an idea, because it's in the new floodplain, we have an idea it's gonna flood. I mean, I feel like that's not appropriate for this board to approve us stuff if we've got some evidence that it might flood. That's just not fair to the next property owner. So that's my thought.
I can understand what you're saying. All right? The stream at Hildreth, and you do your elevations, that stream is not gonna flood to anywhere near the new houses are. It's the material around the houses that creates the floods, that creates the drainage.
Sure, but we had no legal authority to get the developer to address that problem because we don't have this reg. If we had this reg, we could have asked the developer to do another round of calculations to avoid flooding. I don't care where it comes from. I don't care if it comes from the river or runoff like the Graniteville situation. The point is, we're supposed to prevent flood damage to people's property. And this is just a tool to help us look at that. Now, we're not proposing any regulations. We're not saying you can't build in the 100-foot buffer, right? We're not trying to stop anybody from developing
Well, you
land.
say you can't build in a 100-foot buffer. I think if you read the regulation correctly, I
No,
don't think
we
you can
allow
build.
construction within 50 feet.
Doesn't say that.
We allow construction in 100-foot buffers.
You're allowed to build in the floodplain. I mean, there are certain
But
requirements.
you gotta
have
get
to meet.
insurance from the federal government.
Well,
You gotta get insurance from somebody to build in that floodplain.
Yeah, but that's not the discussion, though.
Well, it is, Carl. It all comes down to the floodplain. If we change the rules, we're changing the rules for insurance and everything else, I think.
No, absolutely not.
No.
I don't know.
No, you
I'm
got no
reading-
legal ground to say that, John.
I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah,
I'm a layman,
yeah, I'm just saying that statement's not correct.
all right?
I
I know
understand
water
your
flows
concerns.
downhill,
Yeah, no, that's correct.
and I know water
Yeah.
doesn't flow uphill.
Yeah,
Well-
I'm gonna say, hands down, I said it from the beginning, I can't, in my mind, give this to the town meeting and let people that don't understand anything about water or floods or this or that vote on something.
Can I throw an idea out? Would your, I agree with you, by the way, people aren't gonna understand it. Would we be better served to slow down and come up with a couple of specific examples of projects where this would prevent?
I think
A
we're
future
singling
flood
out
problem?
things that we shouldn't do.
Hold on, John. Say it
Like,
again.
like if we just had a couple of examples for town meeting, saying, listen, this is why we're doing it. For example, here's property X, okay? You look at the math, it's just outside of the flood zone, but the elevation is pretty flat. We know that with a little bit more flood, it's gonna flood somebody's basement. This reg would allow us to at least ask the developer, whatever, raise the house a foot, put some berms and, whatever, some
I
solution.
mean, you're talking about specific properties, or?
Well,
I think those.
I don't know,
that's-
we'd have to think that
That's a
through.
legitimate, I think,
Yeah.
general example.
Yeah.
You know, with regard to people understanding it, I had a couple, after the last meeting when this was discussed, I had a couple people who contacted me, not gonna say the names, I said, we understood it, or I understood it. It's very easy to understand. Flooding is very easy to understand. So that says to me that people will understand it. Whether or not they agree with you that it's over-regulation, I think that's a separate issue. But I think people can understand it. I really do, John.
So let me ask a tactical question. Are we too late for Springtown meeting?
Well, the article's been drafted.
it
It
has.
might even be on the warrant, which I think the select board is approving on Monday,
Interesting, okay.
Oh,
23rd.
that's interesting.
on the 23rd.
I think their next meeting is the 23rd.
So that's 2 weeks,
Okay.
night before our next meeting.
So it can, if it is on the draft warrant, it can certainly be removed.
Right, it can be removed up till 5 minutes before the vote at town meeting, so.
I'd like to put it to a
Yeah,
vote.
I'm- Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, as I was going to say, I want to put this to a vote. We worked 6 months on this. We did a lot of work. We spent, the subcommittee probably spent about 100 hours looking at this. We took it seriously, and I think it's worthy of a vote. So I move that the commission sponsor a bylaw change where we would be having 100-foot, we would now have a 100-foot buffer zone to land subject to flooding.
Okay, motion from Chris, do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Bill. So,
Discussion?
Any just further discussion?
Do you want to let the town decide this? The town reps? If we're split on this, is that a good idea? Do you feel like they can make that decision? Is that decision more of their decision or our decision to decide?
Well, I think it's up to the commission to explain, the need for this, why the commission feels this is important. Certainly it should be acknowledged that it's a split vote on the part of the commission. Maybe it's difficult to predict the outcome. There are certainly a number of neighborhoods in town where flooding is a huge concern. And I would expect those reps to vote for it. The average person, I think it's a matter of, just trying to sell it. And, again, I personally think there are good reasons.
I wish we
for
had
this.
information like you were just talking about where, because something wasn't looked at in the past, there's a problem. That's an easier way to sell it than just to, other people look at it as, it's just another regulation, like John said. And when you have regulations, then you have, the next step is, we're gonna stop this from, so people are leery of that.
But I think if you put it in the context that I can't say that it will never impact or existing properties, but it's going to be almost virtually applies to new development. And I would think people would go along with that. I would think people would think that's a good thing. Because I know that there's a concern with new development in this town.
Well, and I think the sales pitch is simple, that towns around us have looked at this
Certain towns.
and come up and recognize the value. We're simply trying to help the flood issues in town.
Didn't look at it that way, some towns discounted it.
Oh, maybe they haven't looked at it yet.
That's possible.
Yeah, but I don't know, yeah. Okay, so, any further discussion? We have a motion, we have a second?
I second it.
Yeah, Bill seconded it, so we'll take a vote then, all in favor? Aye. And Opposed?
Aye.
All right.
3 and 3. I didn't
I
see
was
any.
going to abstain, but you're killing me over here.
It's hard to abstain from something like this because you got no stake in it. I respect you, Dave, 110%.
Oh,
That's
thank
one thing
you.
I do about you.
Oh, thank you.
I respect your
Well-
thoughts, but sometimes,
Hold on, John. Ally, are you gonna vote?
oh,
I'm gonna
sorry.
say no.
You're gonna say no, okay. So motion fails to pass, so 3 to 4, or 4 to 3 fails to pass.
I think we should look at it next time, but I feel like we were a little rushed, not by you, but just in general. If we had more facts of where something was an issue because we haven't didn't have the opportunity to look at a piece of property that was in the flood zone and it caused something for somebody else. Right at this point, I just don't feel like it's the right
And
time.
I feel it's a bad decision, Bill. Honestly, flooding is a big problem in this town. I live in an area close to flooding. I see it like every time we have storms coming in, it's kind of scary. And every time new development comes in, projects come in, they come into planning board, they come in front of us, sometimes our hands are tied, and it's frustrating, you know?
Yep.
We look at the flooding. And we look at the flooding that the 2 houses that we approved on Old Westford Road, right? That's flooded, okay? But the water's never gone over Old Westford Road, okay? The water comes from that hill, and it comes down through that land, and it's gotta be sized out. And that's where it goes. You gotta size the water out of the area. And that's what the DPW,
Okay.
I'd just like to respond quickly to that, John. I mean, we don't know for sure, John, but in a case like Old Westford Road, suppose that where the houses were being put is where the runoff, that area on the property is where the runoff goes into the wetlands. So that if the house is potentially blocked, that flow of water into the floodplain, that water has to go somewhere. Where's it going to go? Is it going to go into the road? Is it going to go into someone else's property? That's the kind of thing I think you need to look at.
it's gonna go out to that drainage ditch in the back that should have been sized properly through the road with a culvert or whatever and gone downhill.
Okay,
Okay.
let's move on. Let's move on.
Carl,
Yeah.
just a
wanna
point
decide
of
that.
reference, I'm looking at the select board agenda on Monday, and I clicked on the list of spring warrant articles that's on their agenda, and I don't find this one.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's, they're
We'll
gonna look at
follow
it
up
Monday or not.
and we'll see that it doesn't get put on there.
Right.
Okay. Let's do our land management site update. I'm gonna just like wing it here. Does anybody have anything? Because it's really snowy and if you have something, Peter, you have anything?
There's activities going on that we've talked about
Yep.
before,
Yep.
so, yeah.
It's just, there's not a whole lot going on right now. It's kind of slow.
Jeff's building a bunch of duck
Yep,
houses, as
that's
we
right, he
discussed.
is, yeah,
so,
he is building the duck houses. Ally, anything?
No, just a lot of snow.
Lanford? Chris?
Nothing new, nothing new,
Nothing
Carl.
new, Cricket Spring?
Some activity, just people skiing and stuff.
Yep. Oh, the Red Wing, yeah, nice, nice. John, anything at Russell Mill?
Snowman's still in the middle of the mill pond. When I go
So-
down to
yeah,
my
well,
daughters and
there's-
I plow and I look,
There's
the
no reason.
snowman's still out
Yeah, there's
there.
no reason for it to be gone yet.
No.
Next week we get some melting maybe,
Well,
but not,
it's
not
still
this week.
there.
Not this week. And Coolest Bill, or Deep Brook,
Well, Oak Hill, I've heard from a couple of members of the Board of Directors of the Gun Club, Lowell Sportsman's Club, and they're concerned about the beaver dam. They want us to keep that on the agenda,
okay?
so we can look at that. I mean, it's snow down there now, you can't even get there, but they don't want, they had, as we know, a couple of years ago, we had a bad washout,
Yeah.
and they're just concerned that we keep an eye on it, so.
Okay.
If we can keep that on
flooding
the
anything
agenda.
yet?
Pardon me?
Is it flooding any part of their property
You can't even
yet?
get down there right now. It's all snow. No, it's not now.
It won't flood their
No, it's,
property.
it's,
Oh, it won't.
it's
What-
dammed up pretty good.
What
it
they're,
breached.
what they're concerned is if it breaches.
A rush of
okay.
water,
Yeah.
Okay.
because they had it wiped out their trout
Trout
pond.
pond, yeah. It was muddy for
Previous
years.
breach did.
3 years ago, yeah.
Okay.
So if we can keep it on the agenda, and then once the weather changes, keep an eye on it, and if we have to do something to it, we can, but so it doesn't fall off our radar. That's it?
Anything at Coolest? No, that's all?
Not really.
Okay, good.
Well, they've been authorized to do the fence.
Ah, right,
So
there.
I don't
Oh,
know-
yeah,
I don't
good,
know-
thank you.
I don't know when.
They'll be out there
That's going
tomorrow,
to
I'm sure.
Yeah, good luck.
Snow blower.
Yeah.
They
All
better
right.
bring something for the rocks, too.
Hey, Bill,
And,
coolest question? The sledding hill idea, working well, or is it being used at
There was
good season?
kids use it, yes, yes.
Great.
Yeah, it's a nice little spot,
Great.
'cause it's safe. The kid you're not going out in the road, you're not going into a rock wall. It's in a little silage pit. It's confined to one spot. It's a perfect spot. And the parents can see it from above or below.
it's easy to get to from the parking lot.
It's easy to
yeah,
get to,
yeah,
so,
yeah, it's a good spot.
yeah. I think next year, once the walkways are done a little better and the parking is set up and people know more about it, I think that's gonna be a good spot for people.
Build a little chairlift,
Maybe.
some skis on
T-bar, just a
T-bar.
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 All right, anything else? Anything on the agent's report, David?
I'll just say quickly that the appeal of the superseding order of conditions at Freeman Lake was dropped. So that means
Really?
the herbicide, yeah, so the herbiciding will move forward
Wow,
this summer.
okay. Interesting. Okay,
I'm sorry, does it have to get funding? Was funding already in place?
Well, I think the funding will be in next year's budget, so I'm not sure. I think that's going to be for the annual town meeting. I don't know if specific numbers are for, the budget are in the warrant. People must know that. So how is it typically done in this town? I can certainly get those numbers.
I just don't want to delay it anymore.
No,
Let's
I
go
don't
forward.
think they're going to.
Yeah.
I think their plan is to do something this summer.
okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Our next meeting is February 24th.
I move to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Motion from
Second.
Chris, second from Mark, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chelmsford Telemedia. Thank you,
David,
everyone.
I said 8 o'clock. If I-